Building muscle can be a confusing process. You will find much contradicting information online on how you can effectively train and eat for more muscle growth. I used to struggle with this as well. To help you navigate the sometimes confusing landscape of building muscle, in today's video I will show you 6 laws of building muscle that I have used personally as well to elevate my muscle growth progress throughout my fitness journey. These 6 laws will simplify the muscle growth process so you can go about your goals in a more effective way. Let's dive straight into law number 1, and that is that muscle growth takes time. I know this is not something many people want to hear, but it's simply the reality that for natural trainees, muscle growth is a relatively slow process. The human body does not like carrying around a lot of muscle mass unless there is a specific reason for it. The human body seeks efficiency, and gaining a lot of muscle is not something that's very efficient because it brings along extra mass, and muscle is metabolically active tissue as well. So your body will have to burn more calories on a daily basis as you develop more muscle. To maintain efficiency, your body will go through slow muscle growth adaptations as you train consistently. This means that patience plays a key role when it comes to the muscle growth process. The main variable that has helped me is that now I have been able to train for years on end, and the slow progress has been adding up. To get a general idea on what is realistic to expect for gaining muscle, researchers in the field have created theoretical models that show how fast you can gain muscle. A model created by Alan Aragon shows that for absolute beginners, it is realistic to expect gaining 1 to 1.5% of your body weight in muscle per month. But this slows down the more advanced you get. So if we have a 175-pound individual, this person can expect to gain 1.8 to 2.5 pounds of muscle per month as a maximum when this person does everything right. Assuming you are not a bodybuilder and also have a relatively busy work schedule, like to go out sometimes and go on a few vacations here and there, it's also reasonable to assume that most people won't have the perfect approach at all times, and muscle growth will be a bit slower than what the previously mentioned model suggests, which is totally fine. I would take a good quality of life with moderate muscle growth over having fast muscle growth but not being able to enjoy the finer things in life every day of the week. But I say all this to essentially point out that patience is crucial when it comes to muscle growth. If you want big muscle growth changes, expect this to take maybe 1 to 2 years. Of course, in 3 to 6 months you will still see great progress, but gaining something like 20 to 30 pounds of muscle is not something that's done within months. And now up to the second law of muscle growth, and that is committing to a realistic training plan and actually sticking with it. The so to speak shiny object syndrome is a mistake I see many beginner trainees make in their fitness journey. Just due to how the fitness industry is set up, every few months you will find a new, so to speak, revolutionary diet or training program that will, so to speak, 10x your results. But if working in this industry for the past 6 to 7 years has taught me anything, is that the basics will always outperform these shiny objects. If you are constantly changing up your training because maybe you see a new exercise on Instagram or you read about a new training program on a blog, you never really build up consistency in your training plan, and the training then becomes all over the place. To build muscle, we need a structured plan in which we consistently perform major compound movements and are able to progressively overload these lifts. If you do a back squat one week and then go do a Bosu ball squats the week after because maybe a pro athlete was doing it on social media, your training might look more advanced, but you're losing momentum in your barbell back squat progression because you're no longer practicing it consistently. This is not to say that you can't have any variation in your training plan, but for most people it is a good idea to commit to a program for at least 8 to 12 weeks so that you go through enough time to actually benefit from the training program. I have a few resources on how you can create your own training program and even have posted a complete full body example routine for beginner trainees that you can check out. I'll be sure to link those videos in the description. So far we have been mostly speaking about training, but your nutrition of course also impacts your muscle growth results. A popular saying in evidence-based fitness is that training is the trigger of muscle growth, while nutrition is permissive. This basically means that we need to stimulate your muscles for growth via training, but to allow this growth to occur and provide enough building blocks and energy for muscle growth, the nutrition also needs to be on point. A common mistake I see is that people are almost afraid to eat more calories to support their muscle growth goals. But gaining muscle is an energy-intensive process. If you constantly restrict your calories and are almost always in a calorie deficit, not only will it be hard to perform well in the gym, you also won't have the energy resources available to properly stimulate muscle growth. This is why something like doing a lean bulk is helpful and eating in a slight calorie surplus is recommended for boosting muscle gain. Eating in a slight calorie surplus has benefits for muscle growth because now you're able to utilize more energy towards training and also more energy towards muscle recovery, which then helps you better develop your muscles. If gaining muscle is your main objective currently, a good rule of thumb is to have at least 2 months of lean bulking for every month that you spend in a calorie deficit. This will help you better support your muscle growth goals. Of course, it will only be possible to lean bulk for the majority of the year if you are not in a currently overweight state. If you currently are overweight, it makes sense to work on reducing body fat first before embarking on a lean bulk. Let's jump back into training by discussing law number 4, and that is to prioritize your performance over fatigue when it comes to your training sessions. We need progressive overload to gain muscle. This means imposing greater demands on your muscles over time. Think about lifting more weight, doing more repetitions, or performing more volume in your training sessions. A training trap we want to avoid is that you start training just for a muscle pump. Some people think that if they have short rest intervals and do lots of pump style training with drop sets and all that kind of stuff, that they will gain more muscle. But this is not always the case. You may get a good sweat while doing this, but to optimally gain muscle, we don't want to focus on fatigue in your body, we want to focus on building up strength and performance. A 2016 study showcases this quite well. The researchers compared resting 1 minute between sets with resting 3 minutes between sets. The group resting 3 minutes was able to gain more muscle, likely because they were able to lift more weight and perform more repetitions in their sets. So keep in mind, the next time you're in the gym, you're not there necessarily to get a pump or feel the muscle burn, but you're there to improve your performance on your main compound lifts. Let's jump back into nutrition by discussing law number 5, and that is making high protein dieting a habit. Muscle growth occurs when muscle protein synthesis exceeds muscle protein breakdown. In order for your body to synthesize more proteins than it breaks down, you need to provide your body enough dietary protein in the first place. This helps explain why up to a certain point your protein intake has a dose-response relationship with muscle growth. A 2018 review paper analyzed 49 studies on protein intake and muscle growth. Increasing protein intake up to 1.6 grams per kilogram of your total body weight results in faster muscle growth. So if you want to gain muscle more effectively, then making sure you consume at least 1.6 grams per kilogram of your body weight in protein is a good aim. We also see in population research that a higher protein intake is associated with a higher lean body mass. So making sure you have a protein source with most meals that you consume and maybe incorporating some high protein snacks here and there can help you properly support muscle growth progress. The sixth and final law of muscle growth that I'd like to discuss in this video is often overlooked, and that is having proper sleep and recovery. Because if poor fatigue management is in place, you won't be able to perform at your best in the gym and muscle growth will be limited. Gaining muscle definitely takes hard work and consistency, but for us to maintain the right intensity and focus during our training sessions, we need to be well recovered when we step foot in the gym. Because eventually, if you don't give your body enough rest, you run into a recovery wall and your body will force you to take a step back by making you feel more fatigued. When you just start with working out, you don't need a ton of volume to start progressing. For most people that are just beginning with lifting weights, starting with about 3 training sessions per week is a great starting point. And the training frequency can scale up to potentially 4 to 5 workouts per week as you get more advanced. And for sleep, making sure you get at least a quality 7 hours of sleep per night is one of the most simplest things you can do to elevate your training performance and progress. If I look at my own progress in the past several months, I can see that I have taken good steps forward, and I actually credit it mostly to being just in a more relaxed mind state and having better recovery in between my training sessions. Having good sleep and some relaxation time helps you push harder when it's time to actually perform, so don't underestimate the power of recovery. And that was all for today's video. I hope this gives you a better grasp of the key variables we need to focus on when gaining muscle is the goal. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Also, leave me a thumbs up if you found this video helpful. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. And I will see you in that next video.